everybody, and welcome back once again to the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast right here on the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. I'm your host, Gene Jackson, and please welcome back my co-hosts, Richard Mullican and Josh Briley of P3 Radio. Guys, how are we doing back here on a Sunday morning as we record for Wednesday?
I'm awesome, Gene. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. Josh, Richard, how you feeling?
I'm here, present, and Josh lives like a farmer. He's up before sunrise every day. It's weird.
Dude, I've already took the car to Firestone, dropped it off, went somewhere else. I'm back over here. I'm ready.
I give him another year before he's wearing his hat all high up, like one of those old farmers do.
How y'all doing in there?
There you go.
I'll have me a dip going. Yeah. I'm not there yet.
He would do well to do a podcast with my buddy Doug Gilbert, because Doug Gilbert wakes the chickens up in the morning. Like, he's up at 4 a.m. I'll get a message from him at like 6:15 on a Saturday. And like, yeah, I figured I'd let you sleep in before I text or call you. I'm like, dude, I've only been to bed for like 3 hours. So I feel like we need to start this show off by saying that Josh and myself would like to apologize for all the meanness perpetrated on last week's show by Richard. I do want to remind everyone that the views expressed by Richard do not necessarily reflect the views of myself, Josh, producer Smokey, the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, any of its hosts, sponsors, or any decent human beings on the planet Earth. So,
but the damn well should.
Now that we got that out of the way, on a totally unrelated note, I would like to say we would love to hear from you. You can leave us a message now at 256-344-4766. You can leave a voice message, or you can send us a text. That's right. You can share your thoughts on this week's show, past shows, your favorite or least favorite USWA wrestlers or moments, your favorite or least favorite parts of the podcast. I tell you what we'd really love. You know, you hear a lot of impressions on here of different USWA wrestlers. If you have an impression of your favorite or least favorite USWA era wrestler, or any wrestler for that matter, we would love to hear it. Call that number, 256-344-4766, and leave us a message, and we will read the more fun, or listen to the more fun ones here on the air. At the very least, we'll play them on our show on Patreon called Hot Mics. If you hadn't checked that out, each week, except for last week, we do a pre and post show that we record. It's kind of our pre-show meeting sometimes, and then our post-show breakdown of what happened, or just bullshitting for the most part. But you can check that out on patreon.com/retro wrestling archive. Yes, it is separate from the WrestleCopia Patreon. But we do that every week. There's a lot of fun stuff on the pre and post show. There's characters that we don't do on this show. There's things we discuss on there that we won't discuss here for obvious reasons. Plus, you can hear in-depth things like how Richard's comedy show went the night before, or things of that nature. All there at patreon.com/retro wrestling archive. Plus, there's a lot of exclusive content that I can't put up on the regular YouTube channel, and there's some watch-along things there. A lot of cool stuff. So check that out. It helps us out over on the Patreon. So, yeah, and also don't forget to check out WrestleCopia.com. Tons of great podcasts and stuff over there. And Ray has a separate WrestleCopia Patreon that you can check out, that he puts a lot of good content. You can catch all the shows early there on the Patreon. He puts out a lot of, like, you know, magazine scans and all kinds of cool stuff. So check all that out over there at WrestleCopia.com. And of course, before we get going, one more time, we want to say, make sure you go and order the new Spellbinder action figure from rushfigures.com. It's what all the cool kids are getting. You don't want to be left out, because me and Richard and Josh are going to have ours as soon as they come out. It's a pre-order right now, so go ahead, get your order in. And like we said, if a lot of people will go and support this figure, it'll make a case for more USWA style action figures in the future. Right, guys?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Mine's coming with a pair of underwear, so I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, it would be really cool to see more USWA guys get a figure.
Dude, we got to get a Mean Mike Miller with the chair. We have to get the Moondogs with some furniture.
I'm excited to get a ring that has a questionable rope system going on, but yeah, no, I think it'd be cool to get some of those guys in action figure form. They deserve it.
Yes.
Man, Mean Mike Miller with chair throwing action would be just amazing. Just spring loaded, you pull it back, you just fling the chair straight across into your Jerry Lawler figure's head. That would be pretty cool, I have to say. So, with all that being said, guys, it's time to head back to Saturday, August 14th, 1993, for another episode of USWA Championship Wrestling. Dave and Corey tell us what all we have to expect for today, and I have to say, some of it sounds pretty promising. Some of it sounds kind of scary. They took their normal quick break at the beginning, and then we come back to Dave standing in front of the green screen this week. So he's standing in front of the green screen. The first week, we had the big match between Lawler and Bret Hart. Simple, but accurate. Last week, we had a perfect night of wrestling, which featured Jerry Lawler and Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. Appropriate. Now, this week we have the mother of all matches. I mean, really? I mean, who named this shit? What? That's the best we could come up with.
And the graphics made me think of that book Dianetics or whatever they used to sell.
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah.
Which was what Scientology started. Yeah,
that's all it was.
I remember that. I remember that doing that because I remember that I thought it was a prescription book when I was a kid because it was like, you have a headache, page 42. It's like, oh, cool. Wow. But yeah, no. When are they going to run out of like exclamatories for these matches pretty soon?
I mean, I feel like once we get back to we get sideways with the WWF at some point, I'm sure. And we get back to just having local guys. What are we going to have? The drunken stepdaddy of all matches? Or we're going to get a mediocre night of no-shows.
Right.
Eventually, Dave's just standing in front of a green screen that says, fuck, the Moondogs
again? Y'all come see Danny win a car again. That other one just broke down.
It's going to be a Ford Escort, though, this time. We can't afford another Camaro.
Times are tough for Uncle Danny. He's trading in the Camaro for any clips. All right, so we then cut to the King of the Ring clip where Lawler attacks Bret. I've lost count. We've went to this well like 7 or 8 times now. I mean, with no exaggeration, literally, we have shown this clip on USWA Wrestling probably 8 to 10 times. So then from there, we head to our first match of the day. It's the Moondogs, Spike and Cujo, with Richard Lee taking on the Shadow and Spike Lewis, which seems like a new name. I don't recall Spike Lewis being around, guys. Does that ring a bell with y'all?
Nothing.
I'm probably like molding a couple different enhancement guys together, but it just sounds like somebody I've heard before, but he's just going to be another victim.
Yeah, I mean, he's sharing a name with one of the Moondogs he's wrestling, so I'm sure they're not going to appreciate that. It's Spike and Cujo against Spike Lewis. Now, I wouldn't actually call this a complaint, but one of the listeners of the show actually did message the Facebook page and said, and this is the word he was disheartened over the fact that we seem to be down on the Moondogs these days, and we rarely feature any clips of them and Richard Lee. So just for them, here's a clip of this week's Moondog match and a little bit of a promo from Richard Lee. And quit shaking your head, Richard Lee. It's been a while. You've had a break, so you can sit through a few moments of this again. I know you already have. But let's check out this clip from this week's match of the Moondogs with Richard Lee.
Here we go, Corey. Yeah, Dave, we're underway with it. The Moondogs going after the Shadow and Spike Lewis. Their opponents here today. Cujo and Spike, the USWA World Tag Team Champions. There's Spike with the Shadow. Boy, takes the Shadow, whips him into the other side of the ring, and Cujo follows right behind him with that big splash. Spike picks up Spike Lewis, slams him down. Cujo follows with the splash too, and that's all. gets up and nails Richard Lee. Boy, that's got to be the worst mistake. Almost of the shot.
Things on your mind.
I've got a whole lot on my mind. Bert Prentice, let me tell you something, punk. There's 4 things in this world I hate. I hate liars. I hate cheaters. I hate backstabbers. And I hate thieves, brother. And you're all 4 of them. Well, let me tell you something, Bert Prentice. When you're fat and ugly, I hate it even worse. Well, come anytime you feel like it, big boy. Bring the dog catchers down. You think you can come and throw a net over my dog? This is ugly, Bert Prentice. This is Moondog's fight, brother. Shoot Bert. Bring him down, boy. But my dogs are waiting. My dogs are ready. Moondog Mountain's open, brother. The rides are free, and they don't last long.
Well, there you go. I'm not going to say the listener's name in case he's a closet Moondogs fan or something, but
I was going to
hopefully that bought us. Hopefully that bought us some time of not having to show another clip. But
I've really thought that was a clip from any show. Like
it could have been. We could all way back to the 91 or something.
Nothing revolutionary there.
This is why I'm down on the Moondogs of late. I love heel Moondogs because the heel Moondogs, they number 1 feature Larry Latham, the Moondog. Number 2, they have weapons and they break the rules and shit. That's what a Moondog is, a crazy Moondog. But whenever Richard Lee, you're not showing this in the clip, but he has to coax the weapons out of their hands and they listen. And then the match is just kind of a beat 'em up match. There's no, it's just, punch, kick, splash. We're done. And
Moondogs that have been to obedience school.
Yeah, right. It's a toned down version of the Moondogs. That's why.
Moondogs.
Yes, that's my problem with them.
Get that net thrown on them, and now they're freaking out.
They ain't been the same since they got caught in the net. My favorite part of that clip is in the promo when Richard Lee goes, "There's 4 things I hate." He starts listing all of them. I was hoping one of them would be completely ridiculous, but I feel like if Richard Lee ever joins us as a guest here at the end of the show, he's going to have a bigger list of things he hates or likes, and hopefully there'll be some absurdities in it. But,
like I don't like it when my food touches, like on my plate, and I don't like you, Bert Prentice.
You know that noise whenever you come in out of the rain on the floor in your shoes, man. I hate that, brother.
Almost as much as I hate Bert Prentice. You're fat and ugly. I hate fat and ugly. I was like, he's standing with the Moondogs. And he pointed that out. I'm like, all right. I was like, he couldn't pass that irony. My God.
Oh man! All this week now, I'm going to be thinking of weird things that Richard Lee hates.
Please do. That's why I wanted to plant that seed. I can't wait to hear what you come up with. And if you are the opposite of Richard Lee, if you're into fat and ugly, stick around, folks. We got something for you here on this show coming up in a little bit. Next, if you're watching the video cast, next we see clips from the recent Lawler and Bret Hart match from a couple of weeks ago. And actually, these clips were pretty fun. I would like to show them for the video cast, but the audio would just be a Bon Jovi song playing and we'd get a copyright warning. So we're not going to show it, but check out the video of the show. I'll share it over on the Facebook page. But from the clips, it looked like it was a pretty good match last time these two faced off in a singles match. What did you guys think of the highlights of that match?
I got the old time feels, man. Like I was watching something from the 80s again on Memphis, the way they featured a semi-current song, of the day. And it seemed like, like you're talking about an action-packed match. It was one that I would have loved to seen live because it seemed like the highlights were a little more than just your standard Lawler punch, come back, throw the fire. It was a lot. It was a lot going on, man.
They showed Jerry Lawler give Bret Hart a small package on there. I was like, Jerry Lawler doing wrestling holds? Like, wow, they were pulling out all the stops for the excellence of execution.
The only thing that I could complain about is the ending kind of got jumbled. It's like when they didn't have a good finish for the match, they didn't really have a good finish for the video.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of like, oh, okay, we had a good idea, but we didn't know where to finish it. And we ran out of good clips for the song.
Yeah, so it just kind of ends. I was hoping they should have just cut, like, shown the Bret and Lawler match, and then just cut to him pinning Kurt Hennig last week. 'Cause I still want to know how the hell that happened. If he faked a heart attack at the end, or something like a light fixture fell on him and then Lawler pinned him, or how we got there. Because man, that's so different from what we're become accustomed to seeing in all of these USWA matches. I can't imagine. So what we will have the benefit of watching here on YouTube nearly in its entirety. So for a few weeks, we've seen the name The Hawk mentioned on upcoming cards, and we knew from the Observer that he was a trainee from the USWA Wrestling School. We're finally going to get to see him in action, and he's going to be in action against a man who's making his television debut today. He's going to be taking on Mario, and holy shit, words plus cannot do this man justice. You really need to check out the VideoCast version. If you haven't before, here is your time to start. Watch this. It's Mario versus the Hawk, and we'll talk about it, I promise, on the other side.
In the ring right now is the Hawk, along with referee Frank Morrell. We are waiting for the Hawk's opponent to come in here. Here he comes right here, greeting the fans along the way. I think you're going to like this little guy. Yeah. Did I say little guy? I think you're going to like Mario. Super guy, Super Mario, I guess he is. As he greets all the fans, he's from Italy. He's got the Italian flag on his wrestling boots. He climbs up onto the ring apron. He'll be stepping through the ropes. And we will get a one-fall, 15-minute time limit match underway here. Just it feels like has a special kinship with referee Frank Morrell, I guess. Mario to the crowd.
Well, yeah, Mario, a little big guy, I guess we can label him as that.
He's giving away a lot of size as far as height goes. I don't know about total weight. Might be pretty close there against this Hawk.
Lifts the Hawk in.
Ooh.
Mario comes back. Pushes into the Hawk and takes him down. Mario hooks him into the ropes.
Whoa, powers him down, yeah.
Big power slam from Mario.
I got
down. With the slide on the Hawk. Covers him till he got him. Mario, boy, gets the 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah.
He's happy, and he should be, too. I tell you what.
Mario's big with the finger guns there. So, Richard, for all the shit you talk about Melvin Penrod, Mario makes Melvin Penrod look like fucking Shawn Michaels.
So I blame you and Josh and people of y'all's similar ilk for this, because somebody in the back said, all right, we love Melvin. The fans apparently love Melvin, but Melvin's got to leave, so we've got to get somebody to replace him. Oh, my God. And the LGBTQ suspenders. I love those. Those are
well, to be fair, until just recently, those were Mort from Orc suspenders. I'm sure he had them from that time period of the 70s and 80s, to be honest.
We talked about this on Hot Mics, but we got to say it here. He looks like Violet from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory after she ate the blueberry gum and turned into a big blueberry. Dude's he's a dodgeball. That's what he is. He's a dodgeball. Oh my God.
I mean, like, I felt like I could defend Melvin Penrod because at least his character suited the gimmick with the principal. He had some ability in the ring. He could move around for a guy that size. Even if he didn't like the fact that he wrestled like Vader when he's playing a nerd, but still he could work.
He has hamstrings.
Yeah, what's this guy's redeeming quality? The finger guns after everything he does? I mean,
are you asking me to defend this man?
Well, I'm just saying, like, somebody's going to be expecting, like, all right, so Richard's going to dunk on this guy for 7 minutes, so now Gene or Josh or both are going to have to come back and give the upside. Like, I don't see an upside, unfortunately.
No.
Now, for those that watched it, we did a live stream again here back around Christmas. I don't remember exactly when. And one of the matches on that live stream was Mario from like 1995 taking on Gorgeous George III on a big Louisville Legends card. And watching that match, I thought, well, surely they must have just brought this guy in and then they realized what they had and he had a match or two and he was gone. But this is 93. So this means they saw what we just saw, then booked him into the Monday night card for a match against the Southern Heavyweight Champion, the Vampire Warrior. That's going to play out however it plays out. And then they brought him back at least 2 years later. However long he stays now, he's back again 2 years later. But I would have thought this is just an opening match guy. He'll have a match like we just saw against the Hawk on the spot shows. I can't believe we put him on TV. Maybe they just didn't know what they had. Maybe somebody booked him on the TV straight over the phone. But no, we're going to continue. I mean, I have sat at some of the shittiest local shitbird indie-rific wrestling shows and seen matches better than what we just saw. Saw characters that were better than what we just saw. Like Mario and the Hawk, like pairing those two together. Like, I can't believe you would put this on a TV show with the kind of coverage that the USWA had at the time. It's bizarre. But that's not all. We put Mario in the ring. We let him wrestle. And then we said, you know what? I bet this guy cuts a hell of a promo. Let's get him over here. Let's let him talk. And then let's send Bert out there to hopefully try to make something of this. Folks, pay special attention to the belly bump that takes place between Bert Prentice and Mario. Yes. Just check this out.
Pizza helps take care of you there. Huh? You're good. Really good. I'm going to be at the fight the Vampire Warrior. I'm scared. He got an ugly wife. She don't scare me. And he got a big, fat manager. And I'm scared of him at all.
Bert Prentice.
You don't know who you're talking to. You better watch the way you're talking. Well, I better watch the way I'm talking. Yeah, the way you talk. You think so, punk? Oh, no. One more time. No more. One more time. Oh, no more. No more. You don't scare me, punk. I'll have you run out of town on a rail. You're nothing.
Mario wasn't taking anything off of Bert Prentice. That's look out, look out.
Mario. Here comes the Vampire Warrior. Boy, he jumped right down on Mario.
Here comes Jeff.
Jeff Jarrett, the fabulous one. Comes on. Help Mario.
Ryan Christopher, look out.
Oh, boy.
Christopher after Jeff Jarrett. Mario battling the Vampire Warrior. Bert Prentice. Bert Prentice is leaving. There he goes. He ran right out of here. Here comes the King.
Lawler comes out. Sends the Vampire Warrior over the desk.
Did you see Lawler knock Vampire Warrior over the friggin' desk? I'll say this. Bert has never looked more fit in his life.
That guy, he is just a fat piece of shit.
I imagine he owns like a sub shop or something.
Oh,
and
God.
He came in and Lawler was like, "Hey man, can I get a discount on this sandwich?" And he's like, "Well, you let me fight the Southern Heavyweight Champion, and I'll give you whatever you want." And they're like, "All right, you're in. Come on in. We'll call you Mario." And then poor Jeff sliding across the whole floor almost to the back curtain because that studio floor is the slickest thing known to man.
And he never learns. Nobody slides across that floor more than Jeff Jarrett. Every time he comes running in full speed and it really whizzes right past whoever it is he's trying to hit.
I'm sorry, but I can't take, there's nothing serious about Mario, It's just, I don't know why they think that just looking at him, if you see how tall he is, and he made Bert Prentice look like goddamn Andre the Giant. And he doesn't have hamstrings. It's like he's got shins, knees, and then it goes to waist. He looks like a freak, an attraction. Melvin Penrod was mobile. He could do moves and all that. This guy, he is like a sideshow. He needs to be on a trailer somewhere in a parking lot. Like, it's bad.
Italian beach ball.
Is he Italian though?
I mean, that's what they're portraying him as. He wrestled a 42-second match, and he was blown up in that promo by that I mean, that promo, folks, I cut 3 minutes out of that whole ordeal. I mean, that was like a minute 12 of like a 4-minute segment.
But he was like
talked
just
for a long time before what
like
you
an
saw.
Italian guy trying to give directions somewhere, and then you take it a ride. He was just like stumbling around. It was weird.
I would like to have been Vampire Warrior looking at the damn monitor back there, and this guy's talking about wrestling him on Monday night, and then calls his wife ugly. Then he calls Bert fat, and that's when Bert's like, "Fuck this! I'm going out there."
So what I'm more concerned with was, this should show you that athletic commissions are just total bullshit. By the way, in some states, some states they take it seriously, some states they don't. What my concern would be is this man. Well, when this man eventually collapses in the ring, clutching his chest, how are we going to do CPR on this man? Because every time he goes on his back, he like rolls one way or another. It's like, it's not good. Like,
my heart, it's attacking me. Too much pasta.
Dave just leaned into it too. He was like, "Yeah, that pizza keeps you going, huh?" Yeah. He's like, "I love the pizza."
The announcers were openly laughing at him. Dave was
Mario
like,
in there.
Dave was like, "Wait till you see this little guy."
He's a little big guy.
He's a little big guy. He's a Super Mario guy. He's a super guy.
He looks like a midget. Ain't 3 other midgets, Dave. We ain't seen that Chief Little Indian in about a month now.
It's them in like a big house coat.
Yeah.
Spread apart.
That's going to be the big reveal Monday night. The Vampire Warrior's actually wrestling 4 of them. They were all in his freaking under his shirt.
And the bad thing is I can't think of what this guy's shoot job is, because I know he ain't a wrestler. Like, what does he do?
I would say he actually makes pizzas, but he's not tall enough to put them into the oven.
I'm saying he's a check receiver. Like
you can't
Those
tell
wrestlers wear
nobody.
masks, Josh.
Yeah, you can't tell nobody to take my disability.
It's not me. I'm surprised he has a big fake Italian mustache. Here's another thing. Like, if this guy would have rolled out in like 86, 87 Memphis TV, like, all right, Nintendo's huge. We're going to put a guy here we can call Mario. By 93, not so much. By the time they bring him back in 95, it's beyond irrelevant. So, but again, it's just another example of Memphis being late to the party on something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Mickey Gilley was just on TV 2 weeks ago.
I like the Mickey Gilley. I see him on the TV. I want to be there.
Oh, man, that accent. Who had the worst accent, him or Miss Simpson? But when they were trying to do it, because every once in a while he would fall out of that accent. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I would pay money to have a segment where Mario hits on Miss Simpson.
Oh, Lord.
I like to give you the cannoli. Hey.
You get close enough. You want to be able to escape my gravitational pull.
I got it the Percocet in my pocket.
I love I forgot to mention this before when we saw that clip. When he splashes the Hawk, he rolls over him and then rolls back.
It looked horrible. Like, he really tried to hurt the Hawk.
Right. If you watch Bundy and all the fat guys of the day, they land on their hands and their knees, so they really don't land with any of their weight on the opponent. The opponent took every ounce of his belly because he rolled on him. He like pivoted on him like a seesaw. Like, that poor bastard. And
as a big guy, I can tell you this: fat has a little squish to it for the most part. Like
more cushion for the.
It's got a little cushion there. The fact that man has fat that is that hard that it has now become like bone-like substance to like pivot means they have packed as much fat into that man as they can. Like, it is amazing. And I feel like we missed an obvious give it a mushrooms, when we were talking about Miss Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. The fact that he was pivoting on the man means the fat is now so compacted that it's not squishy anymore.
Yeah, if he'd have tucked his chin, he would have just rolled right on out of the ring because he wouldn't stop. It's because his head.
He's like an armadillo.
Yeah.
It's just
It'd be a much better gimmick if he was just called the Armadillo.
I'm afraid to go to San Francisco with all the hills. I'll just roll down forever.
Oh, all right. I guess that's all the Mario talk we need for right now. It's certainly all the Mario footage we need for our lifetime.
Can you read the text I sent when I was watching this to you and Josh? It was just 3 words.
I thought it was, oh my fucking God.
No, it was good fucking God.
There it is.
and G was like, which part are you watching?
Yeah, I mean, I assumed it was probably Mario, but I was like, well, I don't know. He may not have even gotten there yet.
If I hadn't gotten there yet and I was already putting that on there, I'm disappointed that neither one of y'all called me to make sure I wasn't on Suicide Watch. It's like, Jesus Christ. That was honestly, I walked away from this show going, they're putting him in a title picture with a Vampire Warrior. And immediately I thought, okay, if your name isn't Jeff, Brian, Jerry, or one of the guys they got coming in that week that's big and important, they don't give 2 shits about you. Like, they do not. Poor Vampire Warrior.
So, guys come in and a lot of times they'll watch the show as they're getting ready for that. So you imagine that Monday night, Bret or Owen or both are outside the dressing room door and they're like, let's see what's happening out here. I think the title match is coming up. And they walk out and they watch the Vampire Warrior taking on Mario, and Bret's like, what are we doing here?
Right. Like,
must we have a failure to communicate?
Yeah, I imagine somebody told Bret, don't do that again. Then he saw this and he was like, I'll say whatever the fuck I want to, that y'all are booking that guy. He talked about in his book that he always thought Memphis was a little cartoony. And when I read that, I kind of got that, you don't talk about, I can talk about my brother all I want to, but you don't talk about my brother. And I was like, I remember Memphis being, physical fights and stuff. And then I saw this and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what he meant.
Yeah. Between this and the 85 shows me and Ray are watching, I'm like, I don't know. I think I've built Memphis up in my head to be something that it never was. I don't know. I'm going to have to find the good stuff to rinse all this out of my mind. But anyway, we've given Mario way more time than he needs, I'm sure. So
way more time than he had on this earth.
Yeah, definitely longer than he could do a match for.
Oh God, yes. So we take a break after the big melee, and when we return, we get a promo from Bret and Owen Hart. They're not in front of the curtain. They're actually just in a room somewhere, it would appear.
I didn't know Owen was Jewish.
They're in the dining room at Stu and Helen's house.
Yeah, you need a promo for the mother of all matches. I'm not going to show the promo, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting that somebody must have really enjoyed Bret's failure to communicate line, because he did another version of it in this promo.
Yeah. Why is Owen wearing that yarmulke? That's the only thing that it was so distracting. This whole interview for me is he's wearing a yarmulke. That's the only thing that is.
That was just some Jewish family let them stay there while they were in Memphis.
I'll put
so
on
they
the
didn't have to get a hotel room.
Right.
The hotel's like, I'll do the fucking interview with this thing on.
Whole promo just sounds like he's hawking up phlegm the whole time. So we got the promo. We didn't get the usual WWF curtain that we get in these promos, but it was good enough. But nothing I felt like we needed to revisit here. If you want to hear the promo, check out this week's episode of the show. Again, I'll post it on Facebook.
It was cool, though. I said this last week about the Bret interview, but it was cool seeing both Bret and Owen during this time period just healing out. It was really cool perspective.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about it is how many people have really seen this? You know what I mean? I'd forgotten about it. So it was, knowing where Owen, what happened with Owen and everything, and seeing the brothers together and everything. It was kind of cool. It was it's almost like that unseen footage YouTube site that we watch sometimes. It's this is almost unseen. There was only a couple thousand households that really got it. So.
Can you imagine being a fan that's heard, guys like us talk about the greatness of Memphis wrestling, and they just pick some random USWA show to watch? They've never really seen it before. They really don't know much about it. So they click on it and they see Super Mario out there and they're like, what the fuck is this? And they're fixing to just turn it off. They're like, well, I'll give it a little longer. And all of a sudden, on the same show that just featured Super Mario and the Moondogs, Bret and Owen Hart's on my screen saying they're coming to town that Monday night for the mother of all matches against Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett. And you're like, wow, this really is all over the place. Like, you don't know what's fixing to come on the screen now. I got to keep watching now because God only knows what's going to happen after this. Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen after this. It's going to be match number 3 as Scott Taylor takes on Leon Downs. And we've learned previously that Leon Downs came from the same wrestling school class as the Hawk. And I have to say, despite the fact that Leon Downs looks like the love child of Ranger Ross and Keith Eric, he's far and away better than his counterpart, at least what we've seen of his counterpart so far. And even though I think, Leon Downs probably could have pulled it off or Chris Frazier fucked it up, Taylor didn't go for his top rope flying DDT this week. He did a simple power slam to put this one away. But overall, pretty decent match. He hit a missile drop kick in here, and I haven't seen a bad match out of Scott Taylor so far here in Memphis.
No, dude, I was pleasantly surprised watching this back. I was like, it was a contest because, Scott didn't just go in there and eat him up. It was like a little back and forth. Then he started to get the upper hand at the end, but that's the way it's supposed to go. But I didn't see anything where it looked like, oh, they screwed that up. Or it seemed like it flowed good. And just two young guys, like going in there and really giving it their all on Memphis TV.
I could get past Mr. Downs' last name. Like, honestly, I don't know why. I thought Hugh Downs. I thought the Syndrome. I thought
I was going to say Corky.
Like everything. And I couldn't get past it. But yeah, a good back and forth match, and Scott Taylor looked pretty good. I just kept expecting. I was like, this is the man that's going to break out the worm. Like he's got a lot of athletic ability. Here in 93, he's doing backflips off the top rope. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's doing backflips off the top rope, but we're not ready to pull out the worm yet, so to speak. But we may be here in a minute. As our next, we see a clip from last Monday night as Brian Christopher and Chris Adams are squaring off, and Christopher once again he has Adams tied up in the rope. Adams cannot stay out of these damn ropes here in Memphis for some reason. He's like tied up. Exactly. Rope. So. Adams is tied up. Brian tries to get Tony Simpson to give him her boot after a big, long, drawn out back and forth between the two. Adams finally manages to break free. He rolls Brian up. He gets a win. That's it. He's the winner. After the match, Brian lays out Chris Adams and proceeds to shove Tony down. He flings her around the ring to the point that it seems like, whoever she chooses in this battle, she's in for some domestic violence. I mean, there's no winning this for Tony Adams.
Good thing she's tough.
No kidding. So then Brian comes out for a promo, and shockingly, he's accompanied by Miss Simpson, Tony Adams. But he insists that she's Miss Simpson, by God. And which implies, actually, though, he doesn't say Miss Simpson. He says Mrs. Simpson, which implies that she's married to a Mr. Simpson that is yet to enter the fray. I guess we'll see that coming soon. I don't know.
Chris,
definitely be a new wrinkle to the storyline, right?
Yeah, that's the text. Wasn't it? Was that Chris Simpson from
Steve and Sean Simpson?
There we
South
go.
Africa. Johannesburg, South Africa.
I get them and Conan Chris Walker mixed up. They had the same hair and stuff, same time period.
Were they South African? I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Well, maybe she's married to one of them. They're from Texas as well down there.
I don't guess I ever realized that the Simpsons were South African. They're African American boys.
They are African Americans.
Dude, honestly, watching because one of them was on Global, and I remember watching.
They only mentioned it every time they were in the ring that they were from South Africa.
I never listened to the commentary. I was watching all the flashy colors.
Oh, you were too engorged with what you were saying. Yeah, Sean and Steve Simpson look like, or Chris Walker looks like if you would have shot Steve Simpson full of steroids, and then he would have turned into Conan Chris Walker. So Christopher cuts a promo here, and then he makes her get on her knees and apologize to him, and she does, and she professes their togetherness.
I just thought it was funny the pop that when she got on her knees got the crowd just like, whoa!
She gonna
Yeah, they
blow
thought they
that
were really
man.
going to see something.
She gonna blow that man.
Like I said, Scott Taylor may not have pulled out the worm, but we thought Brian was about to here.
Love that hat. Is her husband getting inaugurated?
Who knew? Yeah. Years later, someone else would be like, yeah, I'm going to wear a hat like Miss Simpson had on Memphis that day. It would look like she was going to blow Brian Christopher on TV5 right after Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, man. Bert's back there. It's like, oh, I wish I was Miss Simpson.
Oh, I bet he's the one showed her. Now, here's what you want to do, honey. When he tells you to get on your knees, get right here, okay? Right,
He's showing her in the back.
Not over here, but right here.
Yeah.
And Brian's like, okay, Bert, this ain't the show.
You know how you do it
like a microphone.
You want to get really in there like you're doing a gorilla press
I'm
slam.
sorry.
Hello, honey.
I don't know why I just pictured what I pictured when you said that.
I'm scared to know what that was.
No, it was hello, honey. Just imagine the microphone is Brian's member.
Oh, wow. You just had a vivid picture. Huh?
Yep. Let's put in the spank bank, move on. What we got going?
So anyway, this week, we're going to see Brian teaming up with Miss Simpson, who, like I say, he's been, throwing her around like a rag doll, has been shoving her down and all this, but she's apologized. She's gotten on her knees and professed their togetherness. And now they're going to team up against Chris Adams and Miss Texas. And, Brian likes nothing better than get a chance to, nobody who likes throwing around and slapping around more than Miss Simpson than Miss Texas. So Brian's going to have a pretty big night Monday night, I'm sure. Because Chris Adams at some points definitely going to get tied up in them fucking ropes, and then Brian's going to have his way with those kicks, but not like you would assume. So,
it's like bloody fly paper. Get out of it.
We're on these ropes, mate.
Can we get some baby oil in here?
Dude, that's the other guy.
Have you ever been tied up to a rope and had to watch someone push your wife?
I know I have, and it's terrible.
I know everybody in this studio knows what it's like to be tied up to wrestling ring ropes and then have to watch a guy throw your wife around. We're gonna get ready to take our first podcast commercial break, and I thought since we haven't heard about it here yet, but on the show at this point they've run down the card, and now just inexplicably for no apparent reason we're bringing back the match between Colin Scott and Tony Falk. Neither one of those guys have been featured on TV now in a few weeks, but they're wrestling Monday night. So let's take our first podcast commercial break, and then we'll be back with more.
Take me to the Aussie sundown under. Whoa. Take me where that Aussie fun's gonna treat me so right, so right.
Hey, it's Bob Smith, and guess what? The Outdated Wrestling Hour is now part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. But hey, no fear, you're still going to hear the unique guests, comedy, music, authors, journalists, funny people. Who knows who's going to end up on the Outdated Wrestling Hour? Remember, it's all new and all old. So check it out in the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Listen if you know what's good for you.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us. Every Monday at noon, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school, but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Chic, Jarrett, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all. And all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Colin Scott, as they sometimes say, Colin Scott, as they say other times, is coming back, but they do have the good sense to not put his ass on TV. So give him credit.
I think it's going to be a good fight.
Here's a picture of Colin Scott. Come see him.
Oh, wait a minute. That's Scott's colon. Take that picture down. That was from an x-ray recently. We returned from the break to the 1, 2, 3 Kid promoting the mother of all matches. And then we hear from the team who will be facing Bret and Owen Hart Monday night, Jerry the King Lawler, and the fabulous one, Jeff Jarrett. Now, you know, this was pretty standard promo from both guys. I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't really think we needed a clip of it. Hopefully you guys don't feel differently. Is there anything that you remember from the promo right now that you'd like to quote or remind us of?
Not that, but I just thought how cool the accessory that Jeff was wearing in this one made the suspenders look. You know what I mean? Like, it, you know, it actually ties it together a little bit better than just those suspenders and the small neck collar. Like, it covers the shoulders, almost looks cape-ish, like looks superhero-ish. Like, why wasn't this look the one he just kept?
I don't know. He looks overdressed to be fighting a rabbi Monday night.
Oy vey.
Shalom.
So, yeah, they're fired up for the mother of all matches, and so is everyone. I mean, Dave runs down the card. We get a random clip. Bam Bam Bigelow, who we haven't seen in Memphis in 15 years, is suddenly on here promoting the mother of all matches.
It's like Lawler had a video camera and he just went to the back in MSG or wherever he said he was main eventing.
Yeah, they were like, am I going to get paid for this? Did you get paid in Memphis?
Like, I didn't pay you to wrestle, pal. You think I'm going to pay you to talk into a camera? But
what's weird is Bam Bam is a WWF heel. And he's like, Jerry's going to do this. He's going to get those stupid punks, the Hearts.
We determined that Memphis is the upside down when it comes to WWE. Like, it's reverse.
It damn sure is. When we see someone else who's going to put Lawler over here in a little bit too, we won't spoil it, but there's another one that was even more of a head scratcher than Bigelow putting over Lawler, but we'll get there. So then we take another break, and then we come to a fabulous one, Jeff Jarrett music video set to the tune of Michael Jackson's Black or White.
They couldn't get the rights to It's Raining Men, apparently. Jesus.
Then he's got clips of people going, that's fabulous throughout. This was beyond awful. This made those homoerotic Fabulous One videos seem a lot less awkward by comparison.
You know what it reminded me of? The Wrestle Rock music video. You know, because they would have like, we're going to do the Wrestle Rock. And it'd be like, Wrestle Rock. We're going to do like they'd cut to somebody doing that. That was what this was. It was like they would do something. They'd show Jeff hitting a shitty DDT, and then they'd cut to like Ricky Skaggs going, that's fabulous.
But the one person that was missing from it was that Steve Carlton guy from Slapshot. There was no hockey footage. He was the only one that didn't have, that's fabulous. Yeah. It was like once he did the Slapshot thing, that guy was like, why did you fucking show that movie? Get the fuck out of here. So he didn't get the you're fabulous.
Yeah.
I was disappointed we didn't get a random clip of Slapshot in that video too. You know, just like for no reason. It's just like somebody hits a shot like that's fabulous.
Just one of the clips that of Jeff's highlights is him watching Slapshot and doing like a presentation like, look, he's going
Super Mario double guns.
While Eddie Marlin's shaking his head like he doesn't get it. Like, I don't like this.
Why do I have to watch this every day, Jeff?
Because you almost killed me in that ring truck.
I don't even get hockey.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I didn't understand why applying that song to the video. I maybe you could stretch it. Well, I don't care if you black or white, I'll still whip your ass.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, it's not very clear why it's there.
They cut out the rap part at the end because that was too manly.
Yeah. I mean, they've had a bad reputation that over the years of putting songs to wrestling videos that were kind of head scratchers. Like there's one they played a couple of different times now on the 85 shows where it's this god awful song called Forever Young, like collection of Jerry
Rod
Lawler
Stewart.
Yeah.
Yes, it's awful. No, it's not the Rod Stewart song. It's an older song than that.
I want to be.
And maybe it is that one. I don't know, but it's fucking awful. And then there's another one. I can't think of what it was, but you'd never think of seeing it on a wrestling show. And the words, if you took the words, it in no way aligned with what you were seeing in the video. It's just like this is literally the only tape we have right now. We're just gonna have to use this for this music video.
But Jarrett had one back in the day that got in my fucking head for like 2 weeks. It was Bon Jovi, Born to Be My Baby. I don't understand why he was beating people's asses.
Nick Bockwinkel.
I mean, but can we pretend that the Memphis music videos have ever been great? I mean, even though it was awesome, we watched fucking Bill Dundee ride a motorcycle through a meadow. Like
I would have rather seen footage of him running it through the front row.
Yeah.
Yes. As they've said he did.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching this going, why is he riding through all that grass? I don't have a license, brother.
I just know those old Fabulous One videos would have been a lot more popular if they showed them here about 3 years ago than they did back in the 80s. Because holy shit, it was. Anyway, I can't say. Anyway, so match number 4 is the beginning of our expiration of time match. And we talked about this in text messages. So it used to be a thing on Memphis Wrestling, especially in the 80s, where the last match of the day was always called the expiration of time match. And they would just have however many falls they could squeeze in before the show ran out. And so sometimes, and a lot of times it would just be a squash match. So they would just beat 2 jobbers like 3 times. Sometimes there would not, there's been a couple like on the 85 show where they like ring the bell, 2 guys circle each other and they lock up and Lance go, oh, we're out of time. Ding, ding, ding. And the show ends. And like you didn't even see a move, much less a match. Like it's crazy.
Can you imagine being one of those jobbers? And not knowing you're a jobber and you go in there and you lose 3 times and you get to the back and you're like, I don't think they got plans for me here.
So Jeff won't leave you Monday night?
No.
I said we're going to bring you in for a series of matches. That was 3 matches.
Come on, I'm tall. I can be Luigi.
What do you mean 3 times? So Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett taking on Brian Christopher and the Vampire Warrior. So, I mean, you know, we've talked about, I know Josh had mentioned recently how we'd kind of we fell into a little bit of a pattern there where we were having some kind of main event caliber matches on TV, and then we fell out of that pretty damn quick. Well, I don't think right now, as far as the people literally on the USWA roster, taking away any of these WWF guys, you know, drifting in and out, this is about the biggest tag team match you could put on television right now as far as homegrown USWA stars, Lawler and Jarrett against Brian Christopher and Vampire Warrior. So I was pretty happy when they announced this at the beginning of the show. I was like, all right, this should be pretty good. And it was a good TV match. And then surprisingly, in the first fall, Brian hits Jeff with a chain and gets the win. So here we got Lawler and Jarrett getting ready to go into this big match, mother of all matches on Monday night. And they're taking an L here on TV, but you figure, we're probably going to squeeze in at least one more fall, which they would have had time for more falls, but we had to take time to do things like show a promo with Mr. Fuji siding with Jerry Lawler over Bret Owen because they're going to squash him just like his boy Yokozuna did.
Yeah.
How weird was that?
Yeah, very weird. You have Mr. Fuji, who is, I don't remember ever being a good guy on TV. Well, I think he eventually was when they turned Yoko or at the end.
Maybe.
I think he was, but
I think by then Fuji was out of I think Fuji was selling movie tickets in Knoxville and Yoko was just by himself.
But you have a man that in real life fed another man his own dog, or so the story goes.
Yeah.
that was notorious for just throwing salt in people's eyes. And now he's like, Jerry Lawler is a good guy.
Hello, people of Memphis.
Boysan. Jerry Lawler squashed just like my Yokozuna. I'm like, Jerry Lawler's not going to squash anybody like Yokozuna. Mario may squash somebody like Yokozuna, but not Jerry Lawler.
But yeah, it was just so weird seeing him being like, I would feel like when I was a kid, if I was watching this, I would have been like, I think we're pulling for the wrong team here.
I think we're the bad guys.
Yeah. There had to be somebody at home who had only watched Memphis wrestling their whole life go, I thought Tojo was dead.
I'm not going to lie. I may have been trying to skip past some commercials when this came on, and I saw it, and I'm like, are they showing an old Tojo clip? And I rewound it, and I was like, oh, now I feel like a racist.
Same origin.
Hawaiian?
Hawaii, yes.
Yeah, actually. And then we hear from Bert Prentice, who manages to run down almost everything he's involved with Monday night. But then after he leaves, I'm sure he got through the curtain and Lawler, somebody's like, you didn't mention the Moondog match. So he comes waddling back out there. Oh, yeah, my Moondogs are going to win too.
Dog catcher's got your number, punks.
I was really taken back what he said about Miss Texas, though. Like, you can't say any of that shit on TV anymore.
Repeat that for us. I forgot to get a clip.
Even Dave was like, hey,
Jesus Christ.
It was
even Brian, who has been known to say some questionable things, was like,
he backed up.
Maybe we should just let her blow me then if we're going to just be all no rules.
But, I mean, he literally just spelled out what he was insinuating the whole time with the Bubba Johnson stuff.
I mean, transvestite, he called her. But, I mean, that's not even acceptable now. Now it's whatever. But that would be the least of the worries. Because there was bull, and then there was one other word in there.
Yeah.
That's usually called a set of pliers.
Oh, mercy. I think it's in the land speak as well. But
I guess it would be like if you put a weird accent on dog. Yeah,
I think we've come at that from every direction we can. So, folks, if you hadn't figured it out by now, just go watch the episode.
Yes.
So then we come back for the second fall of the tag team match, and this time Brian tries to go to the well again. He misses. Jeff rolls him up, gets the pin. So now we're tied at one fall apiece. We're excited. We got to see where this third fall is going to fall. Although when you look at the time and realize, we've got like a minute and a half left in the show, we're not getting the third fall. We end up in a tie, but we do have time for one more promo to put over the mother of all matches. Yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage is here promoting a match that he's not in. I was thinking about this, and I'm kind of curious to hear you guys' take on this. Like, as a fan, and I guess we could wait and talk about this when we, talk about whether or not you'd go. But as a fan, does it really motivate you to go see a show to hear a bunch of big stars who aren't going to be on the show talking about the match? Does that do anything for you at all?
As a child, yes. But now that I know how the shit works and stuff, no. Now I know it was just Lawler going around with his video camera. But back then I would have been like, well, maybe they're going to be there because they're promoting it and they're worried about it. So maybe they're going to show up. That's where my mind would have went back then. But yeah, now, no.
So now you wouldn't be like, well, Mr. Fuji's psyched about this shit. There must be something to this.
They gonna bring Tojo back.
Damn, Tojo's alive. He came back from the dead for this one. It's got to be a big deal. So let's quickly take our last podcast commercial break, and then we'll come back and talk about this big card we got going on Monday night down there.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, folks. Once again, we want to thank the WrestleCopia Podcast Network for letting us be a part of all the great shows that Ray Russell has going on over there. And now it's time to let Dave and Corey run down the card for this Monday night at the Mid South Coliseum. Of course, main evented by the mother of all matches.
At the Mid South Coliseum, 7:30 Monday night, Mustafa Ali. Don't know a thing about Ali, but we'll find out as he'll be going against Randy Rocket in the opening match Monday night at 7:30 at the Mid South Coliseum. Colin Scott's the big guy from Australia in here. Rugby player will be going, and former NFL player too, will be going against the legend, Tony Falk. Then you got the American Eagles. Haven't seen the Eagles in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Fan favorites. Fans love them. The American Eagles will be in going against PG-13.
Yeah.
You follow that with a single match. Scott Taylor against the Rock and Roll Phantom with Bert Prentice over in the corner. Plus, Bert Prentice's concert. He said, well, he's going to do one of the Fresh Prince's songs, I think. Yeah, we'll find out. Bert Prentice's concert will be a part of this one. The USWA Heavyweight Title is on the line. The Vampire Warrior has the belt under disputed circumstances, I might add. He is going to be going against a guy who is not very tall, but he's rather large, and he faced a guy today who was bigger and taller than he was and beat him. Can he do it again? Can he beat the Vampire Warrior and become the USWA Heavyweight Champion? We'll find out Monday night as Mario steps in against the Vampire Warrior. USWA tag titles on the line then. The Moondogs have the belts with Richard Lee, and they'll be going against the Dog Catchers. The Dog Catchers made their appearance here a couple of weeks ago, but so far have not had great success against the Moondogs. Let's see if the Moondogs can retain the belts as Bert Prentice brings the Dog Catchers in to do battle against them. The Grudge mixed match. Brian Christopher and Miss Simpson both in the ring. Across the way, both in the ring, will be Chris Adams and Miss Texas. Then, it's the mother of all matches coming up. The King, Jerry Lawler. The fabulous one, Jeff Jarrett. Put them together in the ring and bring both the Harts in. Not one at a time. Bring them both in. Bret the Hitman Hart and Owen Hart together. What should be the mother of all matches coming up Monday night at the Mid South Coliseum.
Well, there you go, guys.
Can we point out just a couple things there?
Please.
Mustafa Ali's come in. Don't know a damn thing about him, but you guys will be happy to see him.
I told Richard, I was like, that's a hell of a way to promote it, huh?
Yeah. I know you guys don't know who he is because I don't even know who the fuck he is, but you're going to be excited to see him. Okay.
And then they're like, we can't give Danny another car, so American Eagles will be here. And then the Dog Catchers, they appeared a couple of weeks ago. They were dog shit. They haven't been on TV in a while, but they're going to be there. Come see them.
Challenging for the titles, no less.
And I hope to God, just for you guys' sake, that Mario wins this damn belt. Thank you for the dinner plate. I eat my spaghetti off of it.
Yeah, it would only be worthwhile if he come out carrying a pizza on that thing the next week.
That's the perfect shape, though.
Yeah.
Check out my pizza. So it's time to ask the questions that we ask every week, guys. And I'm interested in hearing this. I can't imagine what it's going to be. What was your least favorite part of today's show?
It's almost a 7-way tie, but the one that's head and shoulders above everybody vertically is the Mario segment. I despised it. Like, I honestly, when I saw it, I'm like, what in the hell are we doing? You know what I mean? It's on almost like there was a gambling debt that had to be paid, and we've got this guy out here. I don't know what we're doing. And it really made me think, well, if these guys don't care enough about their product that they're doing this, then why do I care about their product if they're doing this? So, yeah, Mario 100% was the worst thing about this show.
Yeah. As fun as some bad stuff is to laugh at and get your jollies from and stuff like that, I want this Memphis thing to work. I want Memphis to be a place that you can look at, you know, and be like, this is mine.
Be proud of.
You know, WWF at the time, even WCW to a certain degree, like you would hear people say, well, that's just cartoonish type stuff, but Memphis is real. You know, that was the consensus around here. And then I see the Mario shit. And I love Super Mario, but good God, like this is so bad that I can't even enjoy it. I laugh, but I'm laughing like, God damn, that's Memphis. You know, yeah. You either laugh or you cry. Like I could have done with that. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate the Bruise Brothers. That's always my benchmark of hate. But I almost would like to see them beat the shit out of Mario. And that's saying something.
Like a kickball game.
Yeah. You know, the two Nazis just beating the hell out of that Italian guy. Be like World War II all over again.
Yeah, I mean, I see it through two sets of eyes. Like, as a wrestling fan in 1993, I hate it because it's freaking terrible. It makes the whole product and the entire business look like a joke through the eyes of a guy who hosts a weekly podcast who's trying to make for entertaining things out of some of this stuff. It's like it's gold. It's like, you know, we spent 10 minutes making fun of that. So so there's that aspect of it. But you know, if you're trying to accentuate what was good about these shows, no, it's definitely the worst part of the show.
There's a reason why the Toxic Turtles didn't face the Hart Foundation for the titles in the WWF.
Yeah, they didn't come right in and challenge for the belts.
Right.
I don't understand. But all right, so good luck with this one. What was your favorite part of this week's show?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, I hate to be that guy. Absolutely nothing. Like I tried to find something to like. But even the timing of the show, like I was pissed off about the timing of the show because it felt like we wasted so much time in certain segments. And at the end, it just cut off. Like there was no, like, we'll see you back here next week, fans. No sign off, no nothing. It just shuts off. Everything about this, the 50-50 booking at the end, you took what would have been a good match, you know, between the headliners of USWA, and then you basically 50-50 that, like, really quickly, and you're like, well, okay, one side had to win and the other side had to win. The closest thing I could get was the Bret Hart, Owen Hart interviews and some of the interviews from WWE if we had to go with somebody. But to be honest, I did not enjoy this show at all.
So I did find joy in Bert being out there and getting to just ridicule Mario to his face and call him all kind of stuff and make fun of his accent. If he truly is Italian, I don't know if it's fake or not, but if he is, he did it right there in front of him and belly bumped him. And then, he even tried to make the Mario shitty punch that he gave him look good. I mean, he tried, but Mario was even shitty at doing a punch. And all I had to do was punch him for real, just make it look real. You're probably not going to be back next week anyways. Just punch him. He couldn't even do that right. and bless Bert's heart, man, he tried. But yeah, I'm always going to praise Bert. So that was the one shining star in this sea of darkness.
I'm going to say for me, not that anyone asked, but my favorite part of the show was the Jarrett and Lawler versus Vampire Warrior and Brian Christopher. The fact that we put a main event caliber match on television, we got 2 pinfalls out of this deal when we bitched for fucking months that, oh, nobody ever gets pinned, everybody runs in, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a problem with them splitting the falls and there not being a third fall. My only issue with it, I would have liked to have seen time out your show to where you get all these promos in beforehand, do your falls back to back, and then say, we don't have enough time to, this is the expiration of time. We don't have enough time to do a third fall. When you do a fall, show us a bunch of promos and bullshit, and then do a fall, show us a couple more promos, and then like, oh, we're out of time. Because as far as the show abruptly ending, I think that's just a matter of the guy who recorded the show. I think that's just the way it got cut off on the recording. I don't think it's how the actual show aired. But to me, I mean, okay, we saw a main event caliber. We saw Jerry Lawler, chain or not, that doesn't matter. I don't give a shit about that. We saw Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett lose a match by pinfall, or at least lose a fall by pinfall on television. We saw Brian and Vampire Warrior lose a fall on television. That's the most we've seen in all the months we've watched this TV. We haven't seen calibers of guys of those two teams get pinned in any shape or form on this show. Any other time, it would have been a one fall, Lawler and Jarrett versus Vampire Warrior and Brian. A bunch of people would have ran in, and we would have ended the show with a big schmoz in the ring. And, come out Monday night. You know, this won't happen Monday night. We promise. There won't be a bunch of people run in then. So I don't have a problem with any of that. To me, that's my favorite part of the show, is the fact that we saw a main event caliber match. We saw 2 different endings there. So, but again, it's kind of hard to sell me on, well, we didn't have enough time for a third fall, but you had time to show me a Mr. Fuji promo and a Randy Savage promo and waste a bunch of time in between. So
I think I could have stomached that. It would have been, I know it sounds stupid because like what you just said, we got clean finishes, but I think if we would have just done a third fall and we just ran out of time, like we can't finish this match, we run out of time, and you have an honest to goodness draw instead of like what you said, you know, we're killing time. Oh, we don't have time. It's like, no, we were killing time just now. Like we had time.
Fucking Randy Hale's back. Have you shown the Mr. Fuji promo? Get it on there. Like
they got to see Macho Man.
What do you mean we're off there?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. I agree. The execution of it definitely wasn't there, but in spirit, I think we were heading in the right direction. I'm not like Richard. I didn't hate the show. I think Mario drug it down more than anything, but overall, you can pick some decent spots out of the show compared to some of the shows that we've sat and watched that had no bright spots at all, that were just every match was a run in, and then we were setting up for some lame card where we were going to have 4 matches, then everybody was coming back in some kind of 8-man tag on Monday, and we didn't have the Hearts coming in and stuff. I think we're better off than we've been in quite a while. But
and I may be being too harsh, but I think it's the fact that I get the sense that they don't care about anybody else other than 3 people right now, and that's who the show's written around. And if you're not one of those, it's like no thought goes into whatever's going on out there. I could be wrong. It just feels like a lack of care on their part makes it seem like I should have a lack of care.
It's been that way for fucking since the 70s. This ain't new. We didn't develop this in 1993. And I'm figuring that out more and more as I watch stuff from the 80s too, that the rose-colored glasses I had as a kid that tells me that, oh, this stuff was so great. When I go back and watch it with a more critical eye now as an old jaded asshole, I'm like, this booking of this was pretty fucking questionable, honestly. Yeah. But, you know, it is what it is. So all that being said, I guess this is probably anticlimactic, at least for one of y'all, but I'm not even going to say, did the TV inspire you? I'm just going to flat out say, would you buy a ticket to go see Monday night's card?
I'm probably going to skip this one. Just because of everything. And here's the thing, Owen and Bret usually could get me somewhere, but they've already been here now for 2 weeks. You know, they've been here. I've seen them. Now I've almost seen more of them on TV than I have seen Danny Davis, PG-13, all of my Memphis guys that I would go see. So yeah, now they're just kind of become old hat. Even if they are WWE guys, they've been here a lot these past.
At the Mid South Coliseum, 7:30 Monday.
You're muted. Oh, there we go. Now we can hear you. But yeah, I'm probably gonna take a break on this one because we've seen even the WWE guys. We've seen them.
That's fair.
I'm absolutely going, man. Any opportunity to see Bret or Owen back then, I'm going because I thought they were so much above like most wrestlers in terms of like what they could do in the ring, and they were big stars to me, like the Hart family, Von Erich family. Like that's big stuff. And you would always hear other people like Gorilla Monsoon put them over, always talk about the history of the Harts. I mean, back then I thought they were a big deal. And the whole Chris Adams, Brian Christopher thing, even if we don't agree how things kind of play out, it seems like they're sticking with it at least. And I'm welcoming in that. If we can just stay consistent with something, and hell, who knows where it's going to go. But at least they've stuck with this for what, 3-4 weeks now. So
and they changed last week's booking because they felt it was going well enough that they didn't want to pull Brian out of it to wrestle 1, 2, 3 Kids. So doing better than they thought it would, apparently. So.
And then you got American Eagles versus PG-13. Good God, that's going to be an awesome match. I've seen that match before. It's great. So, yeah, 3 positive things that would make me buy a ticket.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going just to see Bret and Owen versus Lawler and Jarrett, if nothing else, because you just didn't see Bret and Owen team up a lot, for that matter, anywhere, much less in Memphis. Yeah, at the time, the Chris Adams Miss Texas against Brian and Miss Simpson would have had my curiosity. What's going to happen with Miss Simpson? What's going to happen when Chris gets tied up in the ropes and Brian punch any woman he wants to without any regard for anything happening? How bad is Super Mario versus Vampire Warrior going to be? There's a lot, but if nothing else, I want to see Bret and Owen come to town and team up. We saw a clean finish last week with with Lawler and Mr. Perfect. So who knows what we're liable to see this week. Plus, the American Eagles coming in. That's interesting, since we're all fans of those guys. So before we get to Monday night's card, I know used to when we first started this show, I would go over the Nashville card each week, and then it got to be where we're just repeating last week's card. So I stopped doing that. Well, as these WWF guys come to town, most of the time they're just booked for Memphis. They're not going to Nashville. So Nashville's getting a different card. So I found the card for the 14th. So after this television that we just reviewed ended that night in Nashville, here's the card that they got. This card drew 250 people in Nashville. Now, granted, this is the Nashville version of the show that drew, what was it last week? I think it was like 1,300 and something people for Hennig and Lawler. So we get 250 people in Nashville to see. Wolfie D pin Randy Rocket. Scott Taylor to beat JC Ice by disqualification. Brian Christopher beats Melvin Penrod in a loser leaves town match because Bergstrom's already left. Even though he won the loser leave town match in Memphis, he didn't stick around to have the rest of the matches around the loop. The Moondogs beat the Dog Catchers by disqualification. And in the main event of the night, Jeff Jarrett and Miss Texas beat the Vampire Warrior and Bert Prentice. 250 people. No Lawler, no Kurt Hennig, no Chris Adams, no Tony. None of that.
My question there is, what version of the TV show did they get? Was it just promo heavy?
When I read through that, I was like, how could you even chop up last week's TV to make that show other than, like you say, just cutting completely different promos? I don't know. I would love to find the version that they saw just to see how you promoted that show, because really nothing they did on TV promotes any of those matches, because you lost the 1, 2, 3 Kid Wolfie D match, so you got to pull that segment. You don't have Prentice and Penrod, so you got to pull that segment. The Moondogs getting the net thrown on by the dog catchers is the only segment you could have used, because Jarrett Miss Texas was set up to go against who was it? Or no, how was that match? Jarrett Miss Texas versus somebody. I don't remember even who now. Warrior and Luna. Yeah. So had Burt Prentice standing in for Luna here. So none of that worked. So that was interesting. So now on to Monday night. Mid South Coliseum, August the 16th, 1,850 people for a total of $11,000 at the box office showed up to see Mustafa Ali defeat Randy Rocket. I don't know for sure. I think by all accounts, Mustafa Ali is obviously not the Mustafa Ali that would be 50 years later. I think this is actually the future Mustafa Saeed that would have been New Jack's partner from the Gangsters.
Yeah.
Here a few weeks after New Jack. So that's interesting. Once again, Tony Falk beat Colin Scott, or Scotts, as they said on TV this week. They can't get that part of his name right either. The American Eagles, who are confirmed to be under the mask at this point, to be Danny Davis and Ken Wayne, beat Tony Falk and Wolfie D as JC Ice no-showed. So we'll see if that puts PG-13 back on the outs again, or if he had a legitimate reason for not being there. In the next match, the Rock and Roll Phantom beat Scott Taylor. We would have got our concert from Burt Prentice. Did he say Burt Prentice was going to be singing a Fresh Prince song? We forgot to cover that.
And immediately I started singing a couple different ones.
Yeah. Parents just don't understand.
That's what we were doing.
There's no need to not argue. Parents just don't understand, honey. I would love to see footage of Burt Prentice rapping.
Which would have taken a whole out of the closet type thing to that song. That would be hilarious.
That's why that song was the first one that came to mind. I think I can beat Mike Tyson, honey.
What was the one you were doing? You were doing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song.
This is a story all about how.
Oh my God, that's the next sing-along for the next time Burt appears as a guest on the show. He's got to do his version of that song and just put in relevant USWA lyrics. That's
right.
That's an official request. Now get this. They actually have the time recorded for this match. The USWA Southern Heavyweight Champion, the Vampire Warrior, pinned Super Mario in 15 seconds.
When Super Mario's heart exploded.
Oh, God.
That's barely enough time to close on him like Gorgeous George III did in 95. I hope we see a clip of that.
I imagine we will never hear or see from that clip again. Like we will never. They're going to act like that didn't even exist.
It probably is so real they can't show it because of potential suit.
Kind of like Bergstrom. You know, they didn't even talk about him this week after last week, building it around like he's going to beat Penrod. Now it's like, they'll never talk about Mario again.
We don't typically do spoilers on the show because Brian Trammell's not here this week. But if you think you've seen the last of Mario, think again, pal. He's not gone yet, buddy.
I'm going to be sick next week.
In the next match, the Dog Catchers beat the Moondogs, Spike and Cujo, to win the USWA Tag Team titles when Cujo was pinned by one of the Dog Catchers. Chris Adams and Miss Texas beat Brian Christopher and Miss Simpson. I'll be interested to see what how that played out. And then in the main event, Bret the Hitman Hart and the Rocket Owen Hart defeated Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett in 20 minutes and 54 seconds when Bret pinned Lawler.
Wow.
So that's interesting. Look forward to see how that plays out. Now, here's something fun. I told you last week I wasn't sure about who the dog catchers were. That I knew in 1992 the dog catchers had been Doug Vines and Jeff Sword, the Devils duo, and previously the Barroom Brawlers in Memphis. They had a bunch of different gimmicks, but I couldn't confirm or deny if it was those guys or who they were. Well, I checked out this week's Observer again to see because they said they were trying to find out. This is the kind of journalism that people will pay for from the Observer. It says, we tried to find out the identity of the dog catchers. We can say this. One of the dog catchers is probably Jeff Sword, but the other one probably isn't Doug Vines. And that's all we've got. So if you're listening or watching this and you have any actual proof or evidence or, you know who they are, let us know. I have some people that message me with speculation sometimes, and come to find out they're just pulling stuff out of their ass. So I don't want to get on here and say it's somebody and it not actually be them. So if you actually know firsthand, and there's probably a couple more people I could reach out to who may know firsthand. We'll try to get to the bottom of this. Since the dog catchers clearly aren't going away either, I'd like to know who the hell they are.
And we have a tip line now, Gene, if they want to.
That is exactly right. If you or anyone you know, it's like the old unsolved mystery. This week's mystery. If you or someone you know knows who the dog catchers are, call 256-344-4766 or text us. You don't have to leave your name, only the information. So, there you go, guys. That is this week's USWA Championship Wrestling.
This is ridiculous.
Is my inner thoughts coming out again?
Coming through the speakers somehow.
Surprise, motherfucker.
I guess before we get out of here, we'll do some quick plugs here. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review the show. We appreciate it. Everyone who has and continues to. And make sure you go check out all the great podcasts over at WrestleCopia.com. Of course, check out the other show these guys do, P3 Radio. We can't provide a spoiler for you because I think the guys are fixing to record that when we wrap up here. A little peek behind the curtain of how the sausage is made on their end. They don't know until it happens. So we don't know what they're going to talk about. Just check it out.
Safe bet to say male genitalia is going to be involved.
It usually is, right?
Fecal matter.
Yeah.
There you go. How's that for a teaser?
Yeah.
You can check out everything related to the podcast at USWApodcast.com. That's got the links to the Facebook, the Twitter, the store. I got an alert this morning. Someone had purchased a Moondogs t-shirt, and someone else bought a USWA podcast logo t-shirt. And yesterday we sold a Jobber t-shirt and a Jobber coffee mug. So, Richard, I appreciate your purchase.
You're welcome.
But anyway, guys, anything else before we wrap this one up?
I think that's about it. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit negative today. I will be more positive tomorrow. But yeah, having a blast here with you, Gene. Like I said, there's not a lot of people that can get me up on a Sunday morning.
Except for your wife, huh?
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't even go to church. The good Lord couldn't get me up. I'm doing things for you that I couldn't do for the Lord.
Don't be phrasing it like that. Come on. Come on.
But no, we're having a blast doing this show. I wasn't drunk.
Is that Mario Dice Clay there?
Hickory dickory dock.
I come rolling in to do your show. Literally. Any offense to any Italians or fake Italians listening to the show right now. So please take no offense. Also, a reminder to check out our friends Brian Trammell, stspod.club. Check out all the different shows he's got going on over there. He's got new stuff all the time. It's hard to keep up with. He has so many shows coming out. But they're all fun. And our friends Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich with the Dangerous Conversations podcast. You can check out DougGilbertPodcast.com. It's got all the links to their social media, to the social media of the shows, links to the show, all that good stuff. You can find it there at DougGilbertPodcast.com. And guys, it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here. Bret and Owen win the match. Bret pins Jerry Lawler. Mario goes down in 15 seconds. We got new tag team champions, the Dog Catchers. The American Eagles are here now, apparently, it would seem like. Then again, they may not be. We don't know. The Rock and Roll Phantom is back. He's victorious. Bert's singing Fresh Prince songs, apparently. Fingers crossed. God, I hope we get a clip. I want to know. I feel like this show took place in the summer. We may have had him singing Summertime, probably. I don't know. That's purely speculation. So tune in next week to find out all about it here on the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast.